Good evening, everybody. Yeah, my name is John Koppelmeyer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Iredell Arts Council. And we welcome you all here tonight to our spoken word show. This is really, we do the spoken word show 4 times a year, and this is one of the most rewarding things as the director that I do with the Arts Council, because it is just so organic, and the quality of and talent of our local folks that have something to say is really quite remarkable, and really appreciate all our spoken word artists who come out and participate, and just really enjoy this time where people really share some, just some very heartfelt, personal kinds of observations, and do that in a very artistic way. It's very rewarding. Tonight we've got not as quite as many artists as we typically have, because Sam Fox has a new book that he's put together, and so we wanted to give him some extra time to share as well. And we have 2 board members who are going to be presenting tonight, so we're very proud of that as well. And so we're just going to go ahead and get started. First up is one of our new sponsors, which I'm very appreciative of and happy, and been involved with the arts in our community for a long time. Please welcome Bob Barber.
Thanks so much. I'm excited to be able to help Iredell Arts Council. It's a very integral part of the Statesville community. Got a couple of poems tonight, and then I'm going to try a song that I've never performed in public as a singing poem. I don't know how many were here last time I was here a couple of months back. I challenged the audience to compare music and poetry. And one of the examples I gave, and I challenge you again to do this if you get a time to do it, go on Google and read the words to The Bells by Edgar Allan Poe, and also the words to The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. And then go on to YouTube and listen to Phil Oakes, old-time folk singer from the 60s, sing both of those poems. It is a wonderful experience. Sometimes poetry and music is an outlet to help us express things that we otherwise couldn't express, things that are deep in our hearts. This first poem is one of those. Back in December of 2016, the United States was involved with helping Syrian rebels in Syria. We were fighting basically against the Russians and the Syrian government of Assad. We see the numbers from death, and it doesn't really, we feel bad about it, but it doesn't give us a picture, because they won't let you show that on TV. They won't let you see the death. But what they do let you see is the destruction. And when they started showing pictures back then, just before Christmas, of Aleppo, it just moved me. It moved me a lot. Buildings, takes a long time to build something, and in those buildings were bakeries, barbershops, living spaces, grocery stores, coffee shops, bars, and it took years and years to build a community, and it took about, 30 seconds to make it just a pile of rubble. Now, I was tempted tonight to change the words of my song to make it a little more current, but I decided not to do that. I'm going to stick with Aleppo, but I'm going to add one line to the end, and you'll see what that is. This is called Christmas in Aleppo. There is no star to guide them out, no shelter from the storm. The bombs are raining down on them in every shape and form. Children dying every day, we have no time to spare. It's Christmas in Aleppo, and no one seems to care. We worship in our churches, praising God up there on high for giving us the Prince of Peace, but never asking why some must live and some must die. It really seems unfair. It's Christmas in Aleppo, but no one seems to care. So sit there at your table and consume your Christmas feast and make pretend you understand the meaning of the least. There's nothing left but rubble, no food, no drink to share. It's Christmas in Aleppo, and no one seems to care. Turn your head the other way, or just turn off the news, or say they don't like Christmas, or they don't respect our views. But they are people just like us, so innocent and fair. It's Christmas in Aleppo, and no one seems to care. Religions from around the world proclaim their peace and love, but they refuse to stop the bombs that drop down from above. We must find time to spread our love to neighbors everywhere. It's Christmas in Aleppo, and it's time for us to care. It's Christmas time in Gaza, and it's time for us to care. Thank you. Now we're going to go back a few years to childhood, and we'll see how many people remember this story. It's called Getting the Bowl. It's raining, and all of my friends are not home. There's nothing to do, and I'm bored to the bone. I'm tired of practicing tying my shoe. I wish there was something fun that I could do. My brother and sister say, "Don't be a pest." It's Mom to the rescue. She always knows best. "Come into the kitchen," she says with a smile. "You can help me with one of my chores for a while." "Oh, great," I reply. "That's just what I need." She says, "Now hold on. I have something to read. If you'll read this recipe out loud to me, we'll make homemade cookies. They're good as can be." "I get the bowl," I said with a shout. Sister and brother were just plain left out. But don't you be angry and don't be old crabs. There's beaters and spatulas still up for grabs. I finally recall from when I was a boy those stories that changed any sadness to joy. It's easy to see now without pulling strings that the best things in life are really not things. What's really important, the place you should start, is by doing those things that put warmth in your heart. There's nothing much better for soothing the soul than Mom's homemade cookies and getting the bowl. Like I said, this was at least 16 years ago. I wrote a very simple tune to a very famous poem, and I'm going to share that with you now. Thank you. Whose woods are these? I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between his woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. The woods are, oh, sorry. Gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sound's the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. Miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. Miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep.
Let's give another hand to Bob Barker. Thank you, Bob. People remember Bob's place he used to have on downtown Statesville? Music, Second Fret. That was a nice place to go listen to music and have a good time for sure. All right, I want to tell you about a couple things that we got coming up at the Arts Council. Next week, maybe the best music concert film ever made. We're going to show here The Last Waltz. And in this setting, we've got a pull-down screen, and we're going to have the full speakers on. Robbie Robinson just passed away, who was just a master, and it's a wonderful film, great music. So we encourage people to come by and have a good time with that. That's going to be on November 14th. And I'm also going to give a shout out to the boys in the back, our Roots in the Round group. They also have a company called Grassroots that does all our production work. It's led by Brian Olson and Josh Loftus. And on November 16th through the 19th will be the Singers and Songbirds Songwriters Festival here. And most of that happens here in this venue. And it really, last year was the first one that they did of that. I think last year they had between 40 and 50 songwriters doing songwriter rounds, concerts. This one they're going to have not quite as many folks, but they're still going to be doing the rounds and some special concerts, and it's just a great time. A lot of local songwriters, a lot of musicians who get to play music. They don't get the opportunity to come into a setting that's a listening room and have people just listen to their songs that they've written. Everybody wants to hear Hotel California, right? That kind of stuff. So the songs that they've written, that they've put their heart and soul into, and in the round table format, you get 3 to 4 musicians on stage. They talk about the inspiration of what led them to write those songs, and then they sing them. The other musicians join in. It's just a very uplifting experience and a great opportunity for those songwriters. So I encourage you to check that out. You can go online. You can check it out through the Arts Council, but also through Roots in the Round. All right, so our next performer, hasn't been here probably in maybe 2-3 years, and we're so glad to have him back. So please welcome Ted Jenkins.
I'm going to start off a little slow tonight. I had a gummy already. So, like they said, I haven't been here in a couple of years. And actually today is the 11th anniversary of the first time I performed here, which was out back, open mic night at an arts crawl, I think it was. So it's been really cool seeing how this place has kind of progressed. And you've switched it around on me. The stage used to be back there. I'm going to be reading tonight from my 2 books. I have Psych Ward Blues and Mercury in Retrospect. Like Sam's book, they both came out from Alien Buddha Press. And poem number 39. The right medication cocktail on the clouds part and began to shower me with poetry, art, love, forgiveness, film ideas, beautiful riffs, and a new kind of understanding of everything. It is a rain which washes away the dirt and muck of depression and allows enough sunlight for an ocean of flowers to grow in its wake. Psych Ward Blues number 2. Saturdays are boring in the psych ward. No groups or any other scheduled activities, save for meals. Everyone is either napping or keeping busy in the day room. Every which way but loose is on TV, so we write, we play solitaire, we wait. So this is recovery. I feel like a new man. I feel more like myself than I can ever recall. My eyes are up instead of pointed towards the floor. I want to see people's eyes when they speak. That's where they hide their truth, and truth is all that I want to know. As you can see, a lot of my stuff is very quick. I kind of consider myself a bit of a punk poet. It's just like get in, get out. Like a Ramones song, 1, 2, 1, 2, So this is always a big hit at the open mic night, so I figured I would read it tonight. This is Psych Ward Blues number 4. A steady diet of bad movies, worse coffee, and enough pills to make Keith Richards nervous. This is life in the Delta, swapping stories with your fellow patients or else screaming at a wall. Weekdays have a schedule while weekends are merely bookended by showers and sleep. Boredom becomes a kind of currency, a Jones for which there is no fix. This is from my other book, Mercury in Retrospect. I'm going to read this one and one more, and then I'll let the next person come up. This is called Midnight Psychedelic Gospel. Crawling down these post-apocalyptic suburban streets with a head full of poetry, lungs full of tobacco, nicotine-stained fingers tucked into pockets, caressing the yellow pages of an old pocket notebook. Pages filled with caffeine-fueled screeds that pump blood into my heart. And now I'm on my way to that new concave to extract some wax and scream my songs into the star machine a while, then head home with the words left reverberating in my ear, singing me to sleep. Y'all probably can't see this, but I always have this bracelet on. It's kind of a good luck token. And it says survivor because I'm a survivor of a lot of things, addiction, hospitalizations, and most importantly, a suicide attempt that I am very thankful that I recovered from because I get to be here with you tonight. But I always read this one because I want to send it out to the people who, unfortunately, for whatever reason, didn't get to make it. This is called Suicide Summers. Thinking tonight of all those suicide summers, breathing smoke and tasting rain like tears from the sky itself, as if Jesus truly wept and filled the land with all the beauty, this beauty that I couldn't see back then, and on nights like tonight still struggle to see, even now. All those suicide summers with proverbial knife to throat, begging for it all to simply stop, as if I ever had that kind of power. I have an illness that finds ugliness around every corner, but now I'm learning to lean a little more into the light so that the only shadow is my own, cast hanging in the broken halo of twilight.
Another time for Ted. Yeah. Ted's poetry, if that isn't a statement for art in using in healing, right? Very, very nice. We appreciate that. And maybe the first person who's ever on stage acknowledged that they had just taken gummies. So that's also, we appreciate that. All right, a couple other things that are coming up I don't want to make people aware of. On November 29th, we have Amy Sullivan's reception here. Amy does a reception every year here. Her artwork of small works. She's a renowned artist that's located here in Statesville. She was going to have her show the 1st of November, but she was in Oregon selling work at a gallery there. So she has a great following. She's very talented, and she does a small work show for us, and that reception is going to be on November 29th. So if you're interested in checking out some really cool art, come check that out. Then on November 30th, here we're going to have our last concert of the year. It's going to be Rocky Lynn, another local fella who has a great following, tremendous musician and artist, and he will be playing here on November 30th at 7:30. You can go on Eventbrite or through our Arts Council sites to check tickets out for that. All right, the next person I want to speak to is just somebody I got to meet a few years ago, who's an artist, visual artist, spoken word poet, and got her to actually come on our board of directors, and she's been on that now. This is her second year. And over the last 2-3 years, her performing here in spoken word, it's been really, it always kind of gives me goosebumps to just see how she's been growing and developing as an artist, and she is super talented. So please welcome Shani Wasson.
Those are some tough words to live up to right there. Get that a little bit. Okay, perfect. So normally I am a woman of few words when I can be, as we've seen. But I want to start off with a short poem from my second book called Salted Wounds. That'll kind of set up the rest of the poems that I'm going to share. So this is called Monarch. Sun, open me up. Release these bones like 1,000 fireflies fleeing and seeking the sky. A bed of roses lay over me like clouds in spring. A flailing albatross with gender non-conformative wings. May they finally see my beauty and uplift my name. Suffused in grace, let me be reborn again and again. This next poem is entitled 13. This entire book is really a reflection of my life and coming to terms with who I am and being accepting of that, and really just being proud of who I am and who I will become. So this poem is entitled 13, a marker year for me. At 13, I immortalized the popular boy's name for all my friends. This public crush to cover all my secrets. The boy, tall and quiet, too afraid to look me in the eye when he rejected my scripted affection. At 13, I sprinted for the boy, all the while amazed by his first love, who I thought was my first love, the way her beauty suffocated the classroom, the way I wanted to impress her. Running fast enough to not feel the burning in my lungs, pretending to not want the boy to notice, shrinking until I could fit into her pocket. But I didn't want the boy. I only wanted to echo the screeching behind my rib cage, a calling of all my future lovers whose bodies would gravitate to my hands as we became ourselves, raw and ripe, gaudy and full of whatever promised land the world wanted to shoo us from. At 13, I scribbled the popular girl's name in my notebook. At 13, I learned to erase myself long enough to prove to my friends that I could pretend to love a boy too. So, this next poem is dedicated to a lover that I appreciated very much that taught me a lot of things. Things just don't work out sometimes. It's called The Desert. Your partner is addicted to injecting poison into her veins. Only holds you in a high, sneaks you into body made of hospital, sneaks into your window during the come down, nose covered in white lies. You bring me the body and whisper a tune. Hummingbird, I have watched you in awe. Sing me a song of never being good enough. When your chest is a desert everyone dies in. Bring me the body, and together we'll dispose of your inner demons. I cannot heal you, but I will hold your yearning body on the nights she is too stoned to know your name. Now, if you've ever heard me share poetry, you know I love a good love poem. So I do want to just take a shift into that and share that piece of the journey as well. It's not always bad, right? Before you, I wandered this world lost and full of emptiness. You came into my life and I birthed a genesis. No longer a becoming of woman who etches her failures into her skin. Scars are lifelines reflecting lifetimes unchosen. A reminder of all the things I have yet to get right, but still carry the trophies as if I've already won. I am learning to praise my body for existing when I should have transposed long ago, but you nurture this tenderness with the softness of morning sky. And when I feel the sun on my eyelids, I worship Gaia for the breath that rises and falls in your chest as you lay next to me in a heap of contentment. A world in my palms teaches me to lean into the universe, believing in light when I've only known being swallowed by black holes. And when I kiss you, this love tastes like eternity, even though time doesn't exist. I count the days since the moment we met, and I want you next to me for the seconds that matter and the minutes that don't or won't as we drift into the next existence. I want to complete this life sentence with you, but only if joy is the prison. Contain me, hold me, before I erupt into stardust and ruin what could be divinity. I have a tendency to run from things that come too easy. I will burn this romance until nothing lasts but the ash, and the butterflies in my stomach lose their wings as the fluttering morphs into lamentations. We smile and pass by in silence, wondering what could have been. And this last poem that I have, it's probably, to me, the most important one that I will share tonight. I just want everyone to know that it is okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help when you're not okay. And this poem is a reflection of times like that. So yeah, love on your people, man. You just never know what people are going through, even when they're silent or smiling. When I say I'm tired of living, I mean I am growing weary of feeling everything with the intensity of 1,000 lifetimes. These thoughts are treacherous, tiny pockets of pain and trauma trapped within the billows of a sea that rages through my brain, calling it a sacrifice. Will I be lost in this battle of bones or come out the other side a wounded warrior? When I look outside my window, I see a mess of hurried skies and green grass that will tie themselves together to catch me in a rainbow if ever I should fall. And there are days that rainbow is covered in crimson, the memories of all my friends lost, carrying a canvas of colors society never saw the beauty in. But I still see God in their souls, crossing from this plane to the next, finally growing wings to fly above the hurt that wants to paperclip us into dust, remove these lives out of existence, like the prayers I stopped whispering before bed, begging this depression to rest its flailing limbs and find eardrums that will hear my pleas. I am tired of being a martyr in this holy war of self. I just want my body to feel like home again, to feel like a place I know and not a dwelling I tiptoe through. I need the echoes of this rage to stop ringing out in technicolor. And when my mother says, "You can't hold on to hurt that is not yours," I become a river, full of unsaid truths and waters choking the mouth of my euphoria. The delta of my body remains unchanged when the hurricanes come. Flood this utopia into a washing away of memories that no longer serve me, and all these cherubs surround my spirit like a necklace of protection. I wear the crown and become target for my enemies, who could never compare or scare me more than the darkness, more than the lack of light weighing heavy on my heart. On the days I forgot, I am someone's answered prayer. This body is a temple worthy of worship, and this mind isn't all landmines all the time. I just want to be a rainbow instead of a sacrifice, to see the sky as the sky and not a cemetery of dead homies and family trees. This life is worth living more than giving in to the bad days or fears. So today, when I look outside my window, I will know the sun and its rays as beams of hope. They shine with the intensity of 1,000 lifetimes, ready to cleanse my wounds into mere battle scars and past truths if ever I should fall. And when I say I'm tired of living, no, I mean I am weary of the depression, but I will continue to return home to these aching bones and worship them like a prayer that has already been answered.
Was that right? Yeah. One more time for Shania. That was awesome. Love those poems, especially that last one. It was wonderful. All right, I left my thing. I was so overwhelmed by that, I forgot what I was else going to share. Let's see. I mentioned the last concert. I think there's going to be another artist spotlight that will be music one on the second Thursday of December. I don't know what day that is, but those are always good. Just like we have poets that come out, we have local musicians who are have an opportunity to come in a listening room format and share something that they've wrote, and have people listen to that, and not be background music at a bar or whatever, but be in a setting like this and have people appreciate something that they've created and sharing with others. All right, so our last, folks, and I've said this pretty much every time he performs here, when we got out of COVID and we're trying to be relevant again and do things, we used to do an open mic format, and you guys are here tonight that used to be part of that, which was always special. It was a combination of spoken word and also music, and it was a very informal kind of thing. And during COVID, how do you be relevant when you can't have people connected? So we started getting cameras, improving our sound, and then creating some show-type environments that we could show on live stream and those kinds of things. And we split out the music and the spoken word. And when we're trying to get spoken word going, Sam was the fellow I reached out to say, hey, can you help me kind of, find some poets and some spoken word folks who, would be interested in participating in doing this. And it was a partnership that we started. And those of you know Sam, he wanders around and does different things, different times, and comes back around. And he came back around about a year ago and got reconnected. And now he's our new board member for the Arts Council. We're very appreciative of his help and leadership there. And he's just got a new book that he's put together that he's going to share some readings from tonight. So please welcome Sam Fox.
Going to sit down for the book aspect, but I am going to read a couple poems real quick because is a spoken word event. So, then to give a little preface to the book before I start reading from it at some point, it is not poetry. It is a lyric essay, which reads a lot like nonfiction, reads a lot like an essay, and has poetic elements to it. But I've seen a lot of people read about love tonight, and a lot of this book reflects that. Is like learning to love yourself and trying not to escape from everything, because the book is called The Year of Escape Plans. And there's so many different ways we escape from our lives, whether it's through addiction or identity or pop culture or television, music, and then sometimes we have to come back into ourselves and be like, why am I even here? So that's what the overall theme of the book is. But I'll start by reading a couple of love poems. I'll probably save one for last, if I can get this down a little bit. There we go. I don't know how I did that. Because I'm short. So the first poem I want to read is kind of an inside joke, but it's kind of necessary to read it. It's between me and my girlfriend, and I'm not going to tell the story. It pretty much tells itself in the poem, but it's an inside joke we always carry with us, and I think it's humorous in some ways and scary in others. So this is called The Falling Star. The night you fainted halfway into my arms and halfway onto my yard was the night I knew I loved you. The stars gawked asunder, and the wind stopped weaving her yarn through the sawgrass and the pines. In my heart of hearts, I felt fear for the very first time. As I woke you from your spell and hobbled you inside, I felt how delicate and small your hands were, similar to the size of an adult female wren. How you have grown since. I drove you home that night, worried and surprised, to be honest, of how you managed to make it to my house in the first place. Perseverance through the illness, or maybe just plain bullheadedness. We laugh about it now. A secret joke from one love to another. But in that moment, I was impossibly afraid, and also so irrevocably in love with you. I realized I wanted to watch falling stars with you every autumn, because I knew now what it meant to actually catch one in my arms and lower it to the earth. This one is also another love poem. I've modeled this poem after a poem by Peter Gizzi, and it's got a long title. So, There Were Leaves Floating in Your Hair As We Watched the Daylight Recede in October is the title. So, I mean, I do a lot of weird shit with leeway with art. So, and I think that's what makes art amazing, honestly, is the surprise, is the suspension of normalcy. Because you can be and write and play and sing whatever you want, but why not surprise someone with what you have to say? And so this is called There Were Leaves Floating in Your Hair As We Watched the Daylight Recede in October. There was a Confederate cemetery, the local pharmacy and its open sign branding the night red. There was a near-abandoned plant nursery. I could see the clock tower, the sun beginning to exit stage left to allow the moon her glory. Laura, there are children in costumes and black sashes from them left behind among the crimson of the leaves. I take a picture of you beneath our favorite maple tree. You stick your tongue out in glee, and I melt into the sadness of myself. I ache alone, stoically. There is the yelling of drunkards near the bars on Broad Street. It's another near Hallows Eve, and the world is illuminated by the audacity of the moon. Just what you could expect from a world so self-absorbed. And still, beauty walks next to me. I walk on her right, shielding her from traffic. I am distant in my loneliness, yet you hand me a crimson maple leaf that will lay on my car dashboard for several nights like a burnt-out star. There are many windows on Broad Street. The night is cool and bright, but only half as beautiful as you. There are so many things already said. Sweater, giggling, tremble, the hesitancy to reach for your hand, the smiles, the masquerade, the quaint incessancy to whisper in your ear. But out of all of these things, I build a fortress for my heart of hearts. I name it a memory, although it could be much more. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book. A little bit of a little note. The cover is actually, and a lot of you will notice what it is if you have a little bit of like movie buff or history buff. The car on the cover is actually James Dean's car. It's Porsche. And in the car is a skeleton, and out the back of the tailpipe are ghosts. So it's kind of like the idea of like escaping from death, and it's kind of hard to do that. So, you're also fleeing from what you already know. And that was drawn by Holden Welch of Painted Saint Tattoo, by the way. If you want to go visit him, he's a great artist. He's done all my tattoos. Just a shameless plug out there. Let's see. I'm going to start with something simplistic. Because there's a lot of weird genre-bending things in this book. So we're still focusing on love tonight, I guess. So we're going to do, I'll go to page 100. There's an essay I wrote called "The Crack in Everything," which is a quote by Leonard Cohen. He's one of my favorite poet/songwriters. And this is for an older love, and I just want to preface that, because this book was written 5 years ago, and it just got published. But this still applies to a lot of people, so I want to read this. This is "The Crack in Everything," and it was dedicated for ELH. This is a letter. Like most letters, it is to a recipient we call you. Like most senders hope, I want the recipient to smile wide, like an ivory gorge. The first thing most people notice are teeth. Are they soft and gleam, or do they tartar stain and sharp? This letter does not have teeth. It has holes. Lapses in what it refuses to mention, like how I remember how you taste, but I cannot remember how it felt to taste you. It's been so long. I've been reading Jack Gilbert and listening to Leonard Cohen covers most of the past couple weeks. Last time we spoke, I forgot you had told me you were doing nothing for spring break. You're almost through with college. I've already had my fair share of failures, but with plenty of room for more to spare. There is an elephant on this page. I keep trying to point it out, but it's difficult to see through the forest for the single tree. I use the word we. There isn't a we. Rather, there was. Have you thought about becoming a photographic journalist yet? You taught me that a photo is not the thing itself, but the essence of the thing itself. This is not true love. It is only an image of her. Even this is not a letter. It is too self-indulgent. Just as I was with your beauty. Now I'm listening to Melody Gardot sing that my heart is indeed black as night, azure black, mauve or indigo or violet hinging on scarlet. Can a heart stop because it drops to the chest and breaks? It feels like it. When was the last time you had really good lovemaking? I wish it would have been with me. I wish so much I feel like I'm losing my own magic. I think unrequited love does this to me, makes me sour, turns me back to water. I used to be sparkling wine and dazzle. I used to be Mr. Bright Eyes, Mr. Poet Pants, Mr. You're going to take my breath away now. There is no us, no we. Hardly any memories for you to cherish. That's why I write this to you. I'm asking you to hold out. Jack Gilbert says, we must unlearn the constellations to see the stars. Jack Gilbert asks, would you go out in the middle of the night and put a bucket into the well so you could feel something down there tug at the end of the rope, which is from the abandoned valley, from Refusing Heaven. I say, if it meant I could drink and be full instead of knowing the pull would not last, I would ask you, have you ever seen a vase so beautiful that you imagine it breaking just to know what it might sound like? I'm so full of darkness these days that when I crack my knuckles, my bones spark. I want to write this down, love. I want you to write this down. Hold on. Yes, the world has pneumonia and God is on vacation. Yes, I know I was not as kind as I was masculine. Yes, I know that the promises stab us when we turn our backs to them. I just want you to know, if anything I could have been, I would have been better for you, not to you. I am as cracked as a Sahara plateau under an armada of starlight. You can almost see God through these crevices. Like Leonard Cohen says, there's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. This is no longer a letter. This is now a negative. Please, do not forget to make art of yourself. Be beautiful just because you are. There are a couple of other short ones in this collection that I have, and there's a couple long ones too. I'm going to read, there's a lot of letters too. They kind of read like letters like the one I've mentioned. I'm going to read a weird one now. Well, this is very weird. So I have reoccurring nightmares occasionally, but this is back in my youth, and these reoccurring nightmares would shift a little bit and change as we all grow older and things become more prevalent. And at least in our subconscious. But I would say that these are some weird ones, and I'm just going to leave it at that. And they're a little fabricated because these essays are more kind of lean into fiction in this case than this one, but I'm going to read these anyway. So we'll see how you like them. This is what I just said, is reoccurring nightmares from my youth I hold on to at 26. Come on in. 1. There are nights I turn into a sleeping wolf. Nightmares are only the mind saying you have something to be guilty of, and everybody is. Domesticate me. I want to be brave instead of beast. I want the moon to be nothing but a Xanax instead of a lozenge loosening my howl. The nightly rain isn't subtle. It clatters around me in the dark, and in my dream I am standing naked under a street lamp, waiting. For what I do not know. God, his sparring partner, a lover. Either way, I grow hair. I bear a snout and fang and tail, American werewolf. I'm haunted by a single thought. The only time I can be human is upon waking. There is blood on my paws. Take this rag. Please, teach me to wipe this massacre off. 2. 4 a.m. The witching hour is dead and effusing into a cobalt-dim sky. I stumble like Judas from his own self-flagellation and reach for the Tylenol. Migraines come after seeing you die in my sleep. It's what I fear about living here with you. You are passed out on the couch, snoring, an empty beer can on its side under your hand, a stain on the carpet. In my dream, you die young. You die because you contract a horrible disease that drives you mad. You go out into the world speeding, a daredevil lunatic hell-bent on reaching a space where you can find peace. You re-enter the world later this morning. You too reach for the Tylenol and wash it down with Bush. I can't tell if I'm still dreaming. Whichever it is, I have heard some people receive visions while they sleep. 3. Upon waking, I recall the conversation I just had with Kurt Cobain, who has now returned to his pose in the poster above my bed. He's taking a drag off of a Marlboro, arm wrapped loosely over his dreadnought. He said, "I'm not guilty of being unique. I'm guilty of believing that I am." I run my hands under the tap and splash my face with scalding water. The heat tears me up, and I'm awake. I'm laughing constantly at the devil. She's nothing like she said she'd be. And of course, right on cue, my ex-lover walks into the dream with a red latex bodysuit and ram's horns. She strokes me under my chin. Depression is another word for possession by a world that doesn't give a shit. My ex-girlfriend nods in approval. I text her that morning to ask her if she's all right. I don't tell her she tortured me while Kurt Cobain chain smoked. I tell her I love her. She doesn't respond. God rides a Honda Sportster. Says it's easier on the liver. I meet God in a bar within 7 miles of a desert painted with saguaros and rattlesnake. God tells me I will forever walk this world alone, no matter how many men or women I grow to love. However, God says I can take a ride with him into the next town. In this nightmare, I say no. I don't want to be a free-floating soul without anything to hold me down. I would rather have something with bones scaffold, something with blood core, something with flesh on it to keep me warm. God gruffly understands. God roars off on his bike, the side of it reading The Spirit. I wake up to the musty taste of whiskey in my mouth. I wake up to the smell of exhaust outside in the October air. 5. I'm a young buck. My 10-point crown laddering a short distance from my skull. My love is hunting me. She has a Remington 22 and is tracking me. I want to speak to her and say I love her, but every time I come around a tree bend, she fires. I bolt away. She fires. I lightning whitetail across under the eaves. I leap, free to get away, but I stay close. When she begins to reload, I approach her. I come up to her and turn my side to her. I want her to feel the freedom of my air-boned back, my sleek hide, my trophy eyes staring into hers. I put my snout to her face. She is still, and I know I'm still in danger. I turn my back. I let her know by laying down I will not run. She does what she came to do, and I wake, my tears lead heavy. And 6. I'm a child again. I have a black balloon in my hands. I'm going to a funeral. I think it's mine, but I'm still alive. I watch from the hillside as my family congregates and weeps and prays for the mercy over my soul. My black balloon bobs in the air. I watch and realize I am not me. I am the alternative me. My alternative me is my brother, dead at 3 minutes. I look like him at 7 years old. In this dream, it was not alternate me that died, it was daily me. I do not fear what I do not understand this time. I realize sadness has everything to do with situation. I realize I don't want to suffer anymore. I let go of the black balloon. It flees and arrives in the branches of a cedar tree. Then it bursts into dark slivers of every lie I have ever told myself. And I'll read an excerpt from one more. It's actually a short paragraph. And this was also a letter addressed to another one of my friends, Jess Ray. And I'll read this last paragraph. It's the last paragraph in the book, actually. And I hope that you'll invest in this book if you wish. It's from the essay, Learning to Live Again, or Relearning to Live, excuse me. This is the last paragraph in the book. I want you to know that what you are doing is reinventing the process of living. This is important, and so are all of you. One day, we will not live anymore. We will fade from our bodies and emerge elsewhere. I want you to know that if I go first, I will wait for you in the great wide wilderness beyond. I will gather the branches. When you arrive, you will bring the flint and stone. What we build will be a great fire. We will name it love. I want you to know that even now, that is what we are doing while living. Except we are the flames and the world is the tinder. If you reinvent yourself, know I will always be the friend you had before, even more so as we walk into the future. We can still smoke our cigarettes underneath the busted open sign. We can still drink our light beers on crummy, rusted tabletops under the light pollution of a city at night. We will still whisper our secrets, laugh at each other's jokes, and nothing in our relationship will change. What changes is how the world sees both of us. And to be honest, I don't think that really matters at all. And I'll end on a love poem. So this is one last poem for y'all tonight. And thank y'all for coming. I really do appreciate all of y'all coming to visit all of us who read tonight. It does a lot of good to see that people still want to hear poetry and hear words spoken to them, and that there's creativity in that, and that there's a bunch of people in the community that really enjoy that. And that's warmed my heart more in the last year than in any of the arts community that I've ever seen, at least in Statesville. This poem is titled Psalms 92, and I'll end on this. The sunlight drew across your face, outlining your closed right eye and the corner of your mouth as though creating it. It also etched shadows over the left side of your cheekbone and jaw as both your eyes trembled in a light sleep. Love, too, is like this. As I drove the next 45 minutes back from near the border of the next state, having spent the Sabbath with you, worshiping and listening and praying, I kept peeking over at you napping. God, too, is like this. I framed this moment with the three of us, the stereo softly buzzing with the pop-punk band, and the wind ruffling your hair and my scalp. The love aching in me as sunlight warmed your face, outlining and etching hope into my own, while God quieted my heart into blossom. He said, heaven, too, is like this. Thank you.
All right, one more time for Sam Fox. Isn't that great? So Sam, do you have some books with you, being out in the middle of the lobby? Yeah, if anybody wants any of those, and I'm sure he will sign it and probably write something really cool that can also be on there. I did find my paper. So the Artist Spotlight is going to be December 7th. One other thing I also want to mention, on December 8th, which is Friday night, is the Shop and Stroll that is in downtown, and we do a member show here with member artists, and they'll be in both rooms. Folks like Michael Ziegler, who's a stained glass artist and professor at Mitchell College, Becky Beasley, Crystal Ingersoll, Amy Quinn, Robin McGirt, Shani Wasson will have her work here. And so please come check that out. It's a lot of neat artwork. And the last thing I want to say, I see some people I haven't seen before here, is we're putting our program together for next year. And so we'll be doing the spoken word 4 times next year. And we're always looking for people who would like to share. If it's the first time you've done it, if there's multiple times you've done it, doesn't matter. If you've got something to share and you'd like a forum to do that, we'd love to talk to you and let you have an opportunity to do that. So please contact me or come speak to me, or you can check our website and send us an email. Thanks for coming. Y'all have a great holiday season, and good night.